blackout isn't the only surprise in Cape Side.
I have been with another man.
Dawson's Creek.
Tuesday night at 8 on WGN.
The preliminaries are coming to a close, and tonight in Chicago, it's Eastern Conference arch rivals Indiana and Chicago meeting for the final time, at least in the regular season, with plenty on the line for each team. Good evening, everybody. Dan Roan at the United Center. It's nice to have you with us tonight for another evening of Bulls basketball here on WGN, our final home game telecast of the 1997-98 season, and this is a very important game for both the Bulls and the Indiana Pacers. In Chicago's case, they're playing these final 4 games of the regular season with an eye toward the Western Conference as they try to win out and get the best record in the NBA and the commensurate home court advantage that goes with it. They come into the game tonight with a game lead over Utah. They are 2 up in the loss column on Seattle. Keep in mind that the Jazz hold the tiebreaker edge over the Bulls, so Chicago needs to win out to assure themselves of the best record in the NBA. Now for Indiana, it's a little bit different story. They're still battling within the Eastern Conference, trying to stay ahead of Miami and gather in the second best record in the East. That would give them the home court advantage should they play Miami in the second round, and it certainly appears as though they will. That makes this game very important for them. They also are looking at this one with an eye toward playing Chicago perhaps in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Pacers haven't been able to break through in the United Center this season. They know tonight would be a major step forward for them, and I talked to Pacers guard Chris Mullin about that earlier tonight.
It's a big game, and people talk about sending messages, but the Bulls, everyone wants to send a message to them every night, so they understand that. But we're just trying to get our team playing well, feeling good about our individual play and collectively, and going to the playoffs playing well.
It's a little bit early for you in this rivalry maybe, but is it ironic at all that to get where you want to go in terms of staying ahead of Miami that you have to go through Chicago to get there?
Well, anything you're going to do is going to come through Chicago. If you're going to accomplish anything, the whole league knows that. They're the best team, and that's what everyone's striving to do.
Chris Mullin with a pretty good handle on what the Pacers have to face here in this final week of the regular season. It's been a great year for them under Larry Bird and his first year as coach. No question about that. More victories than this franchise has ever put on the board, but they know that their work is cut out for them here tonight in Chicago. When Michael Jordan turned the Pacers green back on St. Patrick's Day, it marked the beginning of the end of the Eastern Conference race. 5 weeks earlier, at the All-Star break, Chicago was chasing Indiana. But tonight, with a week left in the regular season, it's all over, for the Bulls, that is. Indiana has plenty to play for. The Pacers and Miami are chin to chin for the second best record in the East. The winner gets the home court edge in their likely second-round playoff matchup. This final week is fraught with potential potholes for each team. Indiana's biggest challenge is tonight. Miami finishes on Sunday in Atlanta. You might want to bet on the Pacers, though, because Reggie has rediscovered the magic. Reggie Miller was the man last week, and that's what they pay him for in Hoosierville. He's the scoring leader, the only man in Indiana's balanced attack who plays more than 30 minutes a night. And Larry Bird's leaning on Reggie more often lately because there's trouble afoot with Rick Smits. The chronic foot injuries that plagued the Duncan Dutchman have kicked in with a vengeance. He's listed as day-to-day, but has barely stepped on the court for 3 weeks now. As the Bulls worry about Luke Longley's playoff readiness, so do the Pacers about Smits, and it's much more critical for Indiana. The Achilles heel at Indy is rebounding, and Smits is by far the best they have. Antonio Davis has been very good in relief, but if the Pacers have to play without their big man, they're at serious risk in any playoff series. This is the final meeting of 4 in the regular season between the Pacers and the Bulls. Chicago's taken 2 out of 3, 2 straight since Scottie Pippen's return. It's a big one for Indiana, but both teams consider this a final dress rehearsal for a potential rematch that could really mean something in May. Rick Smits did get some time yesterday in Boston. I think he played 11 minutes in that game after sitting out the previous 7. But John Paxson, as Michael drives the Bulls, there's no question about who drives the Indiana Pacers.
Well, the primary scorer is Reggie Miller, and he's a terrific talent, one of the greatest shooters in basketball. And we're going to take a look at him in the spotlight tonight. Look at what he does well. This is one of the enjoyable matchups when you get to see these two guys go at one another. Like we said, a great shooter to three-point range. He shoots 43% from behind the arc. It's a career best for him. If he shoots that way the rest of the year, he'll have a career high. He plays well off of screens, and I think that's going to be the key in how the Bulls defend him. Michael sometimes chases over the top of those screens, and if Reggie can free himself up, he'll get some open looks. He drives well, and what he does when he drives, he tries to initiate contact. You'll see him off balance off of 1 foot, maybe jump into the defense, trying to create a foul situation. He's an 87% free throw shooter, so he loves to get to the foul line. And he's a guy with Mark Jackson running the show, at least in transition. He's a guy that you got to find early, because if he gets open looks, he can get hot and he can be very dangerous. In a game here in this building a couple months ago, middle of February, Reggie Miller had 34 points. He shot 12 of 19 and made 7 3-pointers. The Bulls won the game, but you want to keep him away from that type of night.
John, during your playing career, you were involved in a lot of the physical play that went on between these two teams, and between Michael and Reggie in particular. Now, there's a lot of respect on both sides, I think, but in that ESPN magazine interview earlier this month, Michael said trying to guard Reggie was like a chicken fighting with a woman, which was kind of a disparaging comment, which I'm sure Reggie caught wind of along the line. Where does that fit into the equation tonight?
I'm not going to touch that one. I don't know about that. That's Michael's opinion. I just know that when these two go at it, it's a battle, and Michael takes it as a test. He had Reggie's number the last time when the Bulls won in Indiana a month ago. Reggie Miller scored just 14 points and Michael scored 35. So you can expect both of them to come out, get their shots. It's going to be a competitive matchup.
I guess what I'm trying to say is you really don't need to throw any more gas on this fire, do you?
No, you're absolutely right. They're going to play hard regardless, and I don't know about that comment.
We'll let you off the hook.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bax. We appreciate it. And we'll continue with more from the United Center after a break. Bullseye rolls on with a controversial Sunday game between the Knicks and the Heat, and much, much more. Back in a minute.
Bullseye, brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Wendy's, the best hamburgers and a whole lot more. GMC, your local Chicagoland and Northern Indiana GMC dealers. Walgreens, the pharmacy America trusts. And by the Chicago Tribune, in the paper, on the internet, whatever you're looking for, find it here in the Chicago Tribune.
It is a deliberate departure from the norm, 180 degrees from expected. Spacious leather-trimmed interior, available heated front seats, and an Infinity 10-speaker audio system. The new Chrysler Town & Country LXI, built on the belief that great cars appeal to a more passionate side. Chrysler, engineered to be great cars.
Well, another capacity crowd filing into the United Center. I think that's 529 in a row, the NBA's longest streak. This is the second to the last regular season home game. The Bulls finish up the home schedule Saturday night here against the New York Knicks in what should be a great game, as the one tonight should be as well. The Bulls and the Indiana Pacers here on WGN. Well, the Knicks and the Miami Heat causing the NBA league offices a little bit of a headache today. Appeal of their finish of their game yesterday in Miami was filed by the Knicks. They paid the $10,000 fee. They think they should have won the game, and I'll tell you what, they have a pretty good argument, as you'll see tonight on the GMC highlights. It was New York at Miami. Must have been a big game. Spike made the road trip down to South Florida. Very close throughout. Late in the game now, Tim Hardaway chilling. That's 78 apiece, bringing the Heat back into a tie. But Chris Childs spots up left. That's good for 3. It's 81-78, New York back on top. But Hardaway scored to cut the lead back to 1. And then off the dribble to the rack and in. It's 82-81 Miami. And that's where it stood in the closing seconds. New York had the basketball inbound at midcourt with 4.4 to go. They got all kinds of shots, and the last one finally went in. A tip by Allen Houston. But did it beat the clock? The Knicks certainly thought it did. The referee said no. But we're going to get a chance to take a second look, and you'll see the ball out of the fingertips of Allen Houston right here with 0.2 of a second left, and that's the basis for the protest filed by the Knicks today. Whether or not they'll win it is certainly up for dispute. If they do, they move into the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference playoff race. If not, they're sitting right there at number 8, and they would get the Bulls in round number 1 if that doesn't change. So a very important decision coming up by the NBA offices, and that'll probably come down sometime tomorrow, so we'll keep you posted on that one. It's been a great run for the Chicago Bulls team, as we said, holding the best record in the NBA right now, and certainly playing these final 4 games with an eye toward the playoffs. And earlier tonight, Wayne Larrivee sat down with Bulls head coach Phil Jackson to talk about this final week.
Well, thanks very much, Dan Rowan. Phil Jackson joins us. Phil, the last week of the regular season, it's finally here, and usually there's a lot of decision-making process that goes into the final playoff roster. What are you looking for to fill that last spot on the roster? It seems like 3 or 4 guys are gunning for one last shot.
You know, I'm trying to take energy out of this, Wayne, because it gets to be a thing, and then it's, you know, major disappointment for a player that has to be out. We pretty much know that the 2 rookies that we've had on our team this year have been there for injuries and been there for supplemental reasons. But that other spot's going to be a major contributor, or a person that's a long-standing veteran NBA player, a member of this team. And what we decided during the season is we have our 3 centers, big guys, 7 foot plus, and Bill Wennington, Joe Klein, and Luke Longley, and that we need someone 6'10" that can back up a Brian Williams or a Scott Williams or a, you know, like a Stacey King type player that we've had in our history that can play the smaller, quicker centers. And we brought in, you know, Dickie Simpkins, brought him back to the ball club after trading Jason Caffey. And that's a position that we really think is valuable, especially in our conference with the mornings and the people that, you know, have to be played that ultimately can cause us problems, the Davis boys with Indiana. And that's the direction we're thinking right now. But Luke's injury throws a complication into that. Obviously, it'll throw a little bit of a wrench into that type of thing, and so we have to consider that. And we'll have a medical meeting before we even make a decision about anything.
And Luke's injury, I mean, we've been told time and again it's not that serious, but the fact is he's probably going to miss 20 of the last 22 games of the regular season.
It's serious enough to cause him not to be able to play and not to be able to practice, and you know, those things are, you know, a very difficult factor for us. We know that we can't leave him off the roster. He's that important to us, and even if he missed the first round, we'd have to have him out there. But he assures us that he feels like he's making progress. Now, he did that before, and obviously we played him, and he took a misstep or another opportunity happened that he re-bruised his knee. So we have to think that, well, maybe that might happen in the playoffs too, and limit his ability.
Well, good luck with that decision, and good luck tonight against the Pacers. Thank you, Phil.
You bet, Wayne. It'll be a good game.
It sure will. We'll send it right back to Dan Rowan.
All right, Wayne, thank you very much. And joined by Johnny Kerr down at courtside. John, I don't care what people say around the league. You know, Phil has had to face a lot of problems this season. Off-the-court distractions with Scottie Pippen and the usual Dennis Rodman stuff. More injuries this season than they had to go through last year. And yet he's got the Bulls on the brink of having the best record in basketball. And not one word, Johnny, is being mentioned about Phil's possibilities as NBA Coach of the Year.
You know, it's really funny, Dan. The Bulls now have the best record in the NBA, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, okay? I looked it up the other day. There's a Coach of the Month. Phil has not even been Coach of the Month. Jerry Sloan was just the last coach. Pat Riley's been Coach of the Month. Dave Cowens, unbelievable that this guy doesn't get any looks at Coach of the Month, and I wonder how few he gets. Most people talking today about how Larry Bird has done with this club, Indiana, and winning 55 games, but Phil certainly should have a look.
Well, John, I guess that loss in March to Dallas when they blew the big lead kind of cost Phil. That would have been an undefeated month. They'd have had to give it to him then.
Absolutely, but people don't realize it took them in overtime to beat us.
That's right. Yeah, I guess it speaks to the respect that Michael gets, that everybody says, hey, anybody could coach a team with Michael Jordan on it.
Well, I don't know if that's true. Michael seems to think that he doesn't want to play for anybody else. If that would be the case, it would be the easiest thing in the world. I can remember when Red Auerbach retired, Dan, from the Boston Celtics, I said, wow, what a job this would be to get. And then I said, wait a minute, step back. Where can you go from here? Red was the greatest coach going. You know, so who do you make coach? You make the only guy that could handle Chamberlain in those days, Bill Russell, the coach, and that worked out fine for him.
It really did. We'll see what happens with the Bulls sometime in July or maybe a little bit afterward. We hope John have a good game tonight.
All right, pal.
Johnny Kerr down the courtside. We'll come back to wrap things up in the pregame in a moment. But first, tonight's Chicago Tribune trivia question. And here it is. Who were the team leaders in scoring average during the Chicago Bulls' first NBA season back in 1966-67? The answer when we return.
Only in New York.
Welcome back to the United Center. Tonight's Chicago Tribune trivia question. Who were the team leaders in scoring average during the Bulls' first NBA season in 66-67? The answer? A couple of guys, Guy Rogers and Bob Boozer, who each scored 18 points a game during that first year when Johnny Kerr was the Bulls' head coach. And here in 97-98, it's been kind of a tumultuous season for Chicago in terms of injuries, the Scottie Pippen thing early on, and more recently the Luke Longley problems. But one guy who's been pretty solid through all this, a guy you might not expect it from, that's Dennis Rodman. For more on that, our resident Rodman expert, Bulls beat writer Terry Armour of the Chicago Tribune joins us.
Rodman expert.
How was that? Was that good?
I don't think I like that.
That might not be a great thing to be known as, but as it stands, Terry, Dennis has played in almost every game, save for the one he got thrown out of the other day. Does that hurt his incentive situation any, and how's he doing there?
Well, that's very interesting. You know, Dennis, his base salary this season is $4.5 million. He stands to make basically double that if he meets certain incentives, and one of those incentives, which I do believe pays him about $1 million, is the one saying that he's got to but finish 80 of 82 games during the regular season. Now, Dennis already has missed 2, and we should say he can miss games for medical reasons, but he was suspended for 1 game, so basically he's already missed finishing 1 game under that incentive. Now, if the ejection holds from the previous game, that means that Dennis did not finish 2 of the games, so that could be $1 million out of his pocket.
It would behoove him to hang around then for the finish of these final 4 games.
He's got to hang around. He's got incentives for rebounds. He's going to win the rebounding title. That's going to be money in his pocket. Basically, the guy's got to stick around for the next 4 games. It should be interesting tonight.
He's kept his nose clean up till tonight. He's rough against these Pacers. We'll see what happens. Terry, thanks. All right, we appreciate it. And one thing we do not know is what's going to happen to this basketball team in the regular season after it's all over with, after the playoffs are done, and will they or won't they come back again for one more time? So much speculation. Rodman says he wants to come back, so do some of the others. We would certainly hope that Michael Jordan makes one more appearance here in 1998-99, but if he doesn't, here's a little refresher course on some of the things that MJ has shown us during his career here in Chicago.
The stars, pull one down for you, shining on my heart, so you could see the truth. And this love I have inside is everything it seems, but for now I it's only in my dreams, and I can change the world. I'll be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could change.
Sends the screen for Jordan, can't get it to him. Now he's got it. Right side, 6 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's fly! Sunday! Yeah, it's Sunday! Bulls win again! What a shot!
Change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could
would you describe the perfect vacuum cleaner?
Powerful, easy, feather light fun. No more bags.
Presenting the incredible Phantom Lightning Vacuum. Powerful, versatile, and no bags. The secret is patented dual cyclonic action. 2 cyclones of non-stop power devour dirt. Then simply empty the bin.
It was like turbocharged. It just started picking up everything around the house.
For versatility, look at the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Wendy's, the best hamburgers and a whole lot more. GMC, your local Chicagoland and Northern Indiana GMC dealers. Walgreens, the pharmacy America trusts. And by the Chicago Tribune, in the paper, on the internet, whatever you're looking for, find it here in the Chicago Tribune.
Well, just about ready to get this one going, the Bulls and the Indiana Pacers, but we want to tell you about our next telecast of Bulls basketball on WGN. It comes up Wednesday night. It's for our Chicago audience only, brought to you by Walgreens, the Pharmacy America Trust. On the road to face Grant Hill and the Indiana Pacers. That comes your way at 7 o'clock Chicago time, Chicagoland viewers only. That's our final game of the season, folks. We hope you'll be there, and we know you'll enjoy it. This is our final pregame show of the season. I want to take one quick moment to thank all of our producers this year. Mark Brady, John Walgren, Susie Evans, Mandy Cohen, Kathy Mundy, Skip Ellis and Arnie Harris and all the rest. Great job this season, guys. We appreciate it. Now stay tuned for basketball. The Bulls and the Pacers coming up next.
Guests on Bullseye receive a Zenith 20-inch TV, compliments of Zenith. Zenith, truths about television from the people that know. And a handsome piece of jewelry from Henry K. Jewelers, 3rd Level Water Tower Place, Chicago.